yeah, sorry, before I ended, I'll finish off with what happened with those birds. I kept commanding those powers and demons to get out of them. I described it more specifically when it seemed like it was taking too long. You know, certain parts of their body that I felt they were controlling them more. Certain specific powers, God just made me have the wisdom to understand more, you know? Like, usually it's witchcraft, I've noticed. You get me? Since I don't know what they're using, I usually just say certain things. Then it doesn't work. The moment I say certain things, like maybe I say witchcraft, you know, then they actually release that person or animal. You get me? So then that's how I know what they were specifically using, because God allows me to be in a situation where they don't leave when I tell them to leave, that human or animal or pest. So that then, you get me? It's not just because they just have power that requires you to pray more. It's that he's showing us sometimes how to actually figure out what power it is. Okay, the more you describe that they don't obey certain times, okay, you know then that's probably not what they're using. Okay, but then if you say, oh, witchcraft in that leg, like that, I describe it a little bit more specifically. I mean, yeah, that's how I realized they use witchcraft way too much, more than other powers, right? Because, for example, Christianity is really good with describing a lot of powers they have. Islam doesn't have too much of this. Spells, hexes, vexes. I'm like, what? How am I supposed to memorize all that? That's too much, right? Because we know in Islam, God teaches you that He makes things easy. He makes His religion easy, and you would expect if God was good, right? He would make things easy for you, right? It shouldn't be hard to fight with demons, then, right? You shouldn't have to memorize things and be some sort of teacher, because everyone should be able to fight them, even a 5-year-old. So you can just say all powers. You know what I mean? Okay, but in order for us to have more wisdom, more knowledge, God wants us to learn more, right? He then allows us to, sometimes it comes from His wisdom to be specific all of a sudden. You might just be inspired to just be specific and be like, if witchcraft is in, I command you to come out now, like that, and maybe nothing happens, like that. That's His way of teaching you. It's not witchcraft this time they're using, like that, you know? So as I do that a lot, right, I've noticed they are using witchcraft more than other powers, because they always seem to leave and lose their power over whoever they're possessing, including whatever evil they put in me, right? I get sick. I have evil emotions and, energy and thoughts come over me all of a sudden, just bad energy, forgetfulness, brain fog, like that. When they just pass me by using a human or animal or whatever. Okay, the more I describe it, or the area of my body, or the more I describe the symptom that caused me, then they leave, then it comes out. So God is also teaching you, to some degree, what Christians know and Muslims know. You have to believe also that it's going to work. You get me? As you're telling this demon to leave, you can't not believe they will leave. You have to have faith they will leave, that you have the power you have the power that God gave you over them. God gave you authority over them. You can command them. They're obeying God. You get what I'm saying? But you get me? You are told how to do certain things that then would make them obey God, who then when you did that, He told them to get out, So if you don't believe that, what if you don't believe that? What if you don't believe it? You tell that human who's possessed to stare at you and act crazy. You're commanding their demon to leave you alone. What if you don't believe they'll leave? You fell into the fear. Like that, it then takes longer for them to leave. So God wants us to believe we can do it. And then 2, that God will help us, that He is going to make them leave. And then 3, and then also, as you probably are thinking, that doesn't mean that God is not going to protect you in situations where it will be very important for Him to make that demon leave you. It doesn't mean just because you're having anxiety of casting them out that then God won't cast them out. Because that's not fair, right? Why would God require that so much, that you have so much confidence in casting out demons that then that's the only way they would leave? In very important situations, out of his own mercy, He'll make them leave. In situations where they're not an immediate threat to you personally, right? Like they're possessing someone, you're commanding their demons to leave. You're just helping that person, like how religious preachers help someone, like that. That person, that moment is not a threat to anybody, right? So if God allows that demon to stay until the preacher has more faith that this is going to happen, right, that God is going to make them leave, then it's okay if God puts them through that type of test. Okay, but when maybe they're trying to attack you, that's a situation where even if you're scared, even if you think maybe, right, it won't work, he's going to make them leave. You get me? Because he's so merciful, that's danger for you. If they're able to use that usual power of not leaving right away against you in this situation where your life is in danger, like that. He's balanced. And I've learned that because I've been put in those situations. When that human is really harmful to my environment, then God really makes them leave. The first time I tell them to leave. The second time, sometimes it's just a vehicle parked there by a cop. They just parked it for no reason, Command them to leave, they leave. But then there are times that I can just maybe leave that environment, God just wants me to just leave sometimes the environment, and then more cops come. When I tell them to leave, it doesn't obey. Their demons bring more of them there. They make the place uncomfortable, unsafe. And then I'm like, what a waste of time. I can't keep telling this thing to leave. It has God's permission to bother you, so just let's go. I just go somewhere else. And then they leave. You're like, oh, they just wanted my attention, So you see, when they could be a threat to you, God will actually make them leave.